Today I fucked up by ordering food delivery while breastfeeding. This literally just happened about 5 minutes ago and I am still mortified. Sorry for formatting, I'm on mobile. Too long didn't read, at the bottom. So I'm hunkered down in the rocking chair, feeding my 8-month-old who is going through a phase where he wants to comfort nurse for an hour at a time. When I began the feeding, I felt the familiar rumbles of breastfeeding related hunger, and let me tell you, pregnancy hunger has nothing on breastfeeding hunger. So I hop on a nice little app that rhymes with snore slash and decided to order from a local sandwich shop. I knew sandwiches would be quicker than most restaurants, so I figured it would be here right when I finished feeding the baby and put him down for a nap. I put very specific driver instructions to not knock and just text me when the food is dropped off because knocking would set my dog off and thus wake the baby. The app also gives you the option to have the driver just leave it at the door, which I also selected. This is important later. I get the notification that the driver is approaching with my food and I get excited. My baby is out cold, so I stand up and start the slow tiptoe walk to his crib. Right as I'm putting him down, there's a sharp knock on my door, and what I was trying to avoid happened. My dog erupts and of course wakes the baby, so I gently place him down, which makes him start bawling his eyes out. I all but sprint to the door, and see through the peephole that not only did the dasher knock, but he stayed there, holding my sandwich and waiting for me to answer. This dude wasn't going away. After mostly calming the dog down, I answer the door in a huff. The dasher makes eye contact, and weirdly enough he darts his eyes away and holds out the sandwich. I didn't think anything of the weird behavior, but grabbed the sandwich and said thanks. He quickly mumbles "I have a good day" before leaving. After shutting the door, I head back to grab my crying baby, and that's when I looked down. My shirt was still behind my head and my tits were hanging out in full view for the whole world to see. I just flashed my driver with a full frontal. This all could have been avoided if he had just followed instructions and left me my sandwich. I am mortified, but I figured you guys would find this hilarious. I'm sure one day I'll find it hilarious too. Too long didn't read, ordered food delivery while breastfeeding, rushed to the door when it arrived because my dog was freaking out and accidentally gave the driver a full frontal view of my breasts. Am mortified. Put a note on the door to not knock under any circumstances as you have an infant. Most delivery people see these all the time and will comply. Yeah, I definitely know now for next time. But I'm still frustrated that he didn't follow the instructions to begin with. Currently breastfeeding my 10-month-old. I got a big laugh out of this. Thank you. I hope you got to enjoy your sandwich and a napping baby. Haha, thank you. I did enjoy the sandwich. Still no napping baby though. Husband works away and sometimes once I fed the kids and got them in bed I just want something easy for me. So while I'm getting them down I order a takeaway and put the delivery instructions on do not ring the doorbell. Baby turns into a wailing banshee if you ring the doorbell. If they ring the doorbell I curse them. I don't know how to effectively curse a person because I'm not a witch in pagan days. So I mostly mutter under my breath about how I hope they stub their toes every night for a month. Because she does turn into a wailing banshee and then I have to eat cold food. That's exactly what happened to me. Upset baby and cold food by the time I calmed him down. I was excited for some downtime and food without a baby mad at me for eating in front of him, but no. The real question is, will he learn his lesson? I doubt it lol. I'm not the type to go Karen on anyone, so I'll probably just let it go. Sorry that happened. There are few things more annoying than somebody else waking the baby you just got to sleep. I think you should definitely leave a review. Leaving negative feedback doesn't automatically make you a Karen, but they won't fix what they don't know needs fixing. 100% agree. You can leave a negative review without being a Karen, and I'm sure companies want to know if their drivers aren't following instructions, especially regarding no contact delivery. Today I fucked up by leaving my snake's cage open. I own an Asian vine snake named Tim who I purchased in March. He has been a fun pandemic project and was also my dream snake, so he's very dear to me. He's also a source of inspiration in my art and writing. I absolutely adore him more than any other snake I've had. For visual, he might be what comes to mind with the phrase judgmental shoelace. Simultaneously hilarious and today I fucked up. Full of personality. Tim lives in a bioactive enclosure, which means it's very green in there. He blends in well, resembling a green vine as his common name would imply. He is also very small, thinner than a pencil and around 2 feet long. I have been having trouble with his plants dying because he requires UVB, so I was doing some renovations. I stopped to find his sprayer and couldn't find it. I had noticed my mom had moved things around and so naturally I turned around and marched right down the hall to see if my mom had seen my sprayer. She had not, so I went back and looked for it some more and eventually found it on the floor. I pick it up and go to spray the cage and notice the door is open. Well, fuck. I take a peek inside and see that Tim is curled up in his rainbow hidey hole suction cupped to the glass, as he often is. Cool. I spray him, shut the cage and go back to playing virtual pet sites for a few hours. Bedtime rolls around. I feed my sand boa, feed my dogs, pick up a bit, drink a nutrient shake. Go back to the office to give Tim his evening misting. I think that I should double check that he's in there since I had left the cage open and I wasn't sure that I hadn't left the doors unlatched, which I've done before, and he was fully capable of pushing them open. It's the type with doors that swing out, because if you lift the lid of an arboreal snake's enclosure he will try to go up immediately, and they are extremely fast. So I look and I don't see him anywhere. He's not in his plants. He's not in his hide. He's not on his branch. Cue panic. Call my partner in. They look too. They put a finger in the hide in case he's wedged in there. They put a pen in the hide to shoo him out. They neither felt nor startled him, which is bizarre because he's extremely skittish. We start tearing the room apart and I'm trying not to freak out. My partner is upset. I check all the high places. Note him. Check all my houseplants. Note him. Check the other rooms. Note him. This is a major problem because Tim is extremely thin, extremely fast and a little bit venomous. Not a problem unless you have an allergy, but none of us have been bitten to find out. Bigger worry about the roommate and my mom though. Don't want them finding a snake in their beds. Eventually we give up and finish getting ready for bed. I leave the door open in case he comes back, then go in the bathroom and cry a bit. I tell the roommate to keep an eye out. When I'm done crying I figure I'll have one last look. I peek inside again and don't see him. Then I think, what if he's way back in that hide? I take it off the glass and look inside. There's Tim. We did all that searching and freaking out and he was where I thought he was the whole time, just curled up more than usual. And I'd almost left the door open the whole night for him to actually escape, thinking he'd escaped. He tricked me like the bastard he is. Too long didn't read, left the cage of my snake open for a few minutes, noticed and shut it when I saw he was still in there, went to spray him hours later and didn't see him, caused undue panic, cried, almost left the door open all night for him to actually escape, triple checked and found him where he always is after all. What a slithering legend. Till that snakes are full of personality smile. Snake Dax? Is he named after Tim Vine? Is named after Dr. Tim Marco from Full Metal Alchemist. My dad's brother once had a snake and wanted to swap cage with someone who had a bigger one for his bird spider, so they exchanged cages and my dad's brother let the sand from the spider in it and put the snake into it. The next day he came up to an empty cage, a dead snake and a missed phone call from his friend. He called back to get asked if he had seen the bird spider since it probably hid in the sand and therefore was at my dad's house. Well, end of the story. Both the snake and the spider were dead. The snake got killed by the spider and the spider by their mom because she freaked out about this huge monstrosity in the cellar. How does one forget to take their pet out of a cage? Did he think someone had done it for him already, or thought he already had himself? Today I fucked up by accidentally creating a casino for 5th graders and discovering that one of the kids' parents had a gambling problem. Obligatory happened Monday, but we've been dealing with the consequences all week, with a surprisingly wholesome ending. I work in a 5th grade class, and free time for board games, coloring, etc. is scheduled into the day. So we've got a pretty solid collection of board games, some educational, some just for fun, including a big set of fake money. While playing other board games, one of our students always happens to bring out the fake money and suggests that they wager/win it on the game they're playing. Seems fairly harmless to us teachers, just adds a layer of friendly competition while they learn to manage money. Fast forward to yesterday when for free time, we decide to teach the kids some simple card games. Things like Go Fish, Slapjack, Crazy Eights, etc. One of them, however, we called 21, which was literally just blackjack with a different name and no betting. I think you can see where this is going. That kid that always brings out the fake money does what you'd expect, and the card game they all decided to bet on happened to be 21. We didn't catch it until it was already too late, at which point we promptly ended free time. And what a surprise it was when we got emails and texts from angry parents barely an hour after school has ended. A bit of talking with all the parents leads us to asking the kid that always brings the money out why he does that. He tells us that his father that he visits on the weekends plays games online and with his friends and that they always bet money on them. We ask the father about this, non-confrontational, we just wanted to let him know what's going on and get his side of things. He breaks down. He admits that he's got a bad gambling problem and apologizes over and over again. Says he's been trying to keep it away from his kid and never wanted him to pick up his habits. And to be fair, playing poker with your buddies on the weekend is a perfectly normal thing for a guy to do. And the kid saw it as such and didn't know his dad had a problem. Anyway, the dad swears this is his wake-up call and that he's going to get help. Hopefully he does, he cares a lot about his kid and this seemed genuine. TL, Doctor, teachers teach kids to play card games during free time, one of them being 21, blackjack. One kid decides to bet fake money on 21, leading to angry parents. We find out the kid learned it from his dad, who admits to having a gambling problem and vows to change his ways. When I was a kid at camp one summer, I collected extra ping pong balls from folks, drew numbers on them and was about to start a gambling ring, but then camp was over. Frown. To be honest, I was surprised to find out that bingo and scratch cards were forms of gambling because of how exposed we were to them as kids. Every class had a teacher putting out questions and kids putting plastic coins on what they thought were answers on the bingo boards. Websites had daily scratch-offs to get free prizes. My elementary school hosted an annual bingo night and they had prizes for both kids and adults. It was fantastic. My grandfather probably had a bit of a gambling problem at some point. I spent a lot of time with him as a kid and he taught me blackjack and poker. One of my favorite memories of him was playing blackjack on a console with me. I tried the real thing when I was of age. Unfortunately he was gone by then, but it didn't excite me. I actually found it pretty boring. Perhaps it's some of that early exposure, as they say, helps with drinking, that primed me not to be so addicted to it. Best today I fucked up story I ever read. Parents need to have a talk about gambling early and often. Many video games directed at kids simulate gambling now.